Most leadership programs, they talk about systems, mission, vision, communication, what the culture is going to look like. And all of those principles are good. But where they're lacking is about leadership styles. Now, there's many leadership styles. By text, autocratic, servant, transformational. Transformational. Those are the three most common leadership styles. But I want to reflect back on my government career and a leadership training I went to. So after consulting for 30 years, being a part of elite organizations, this training keeps coming back full-fledged into my head over and over again around your style as the leader. And I'm going to break down the three different styles. So the first one is I learned of it was called the hammer. So in today's world, maybe that's the demander, the driver. You're the one that just sets standards. You push the envelope. You want people to execute, and you want them to execute well. You're just that leader, just brings that punch, brings that fire. And again, it's good. The second style is the motivator. So you're the one that encourages people, gives them belief that they can get something done, allows them to experiment a little bit, because if that's an outside the box solution, these are the type of people we want in our company, in our organization. You're continuously just being that person that pumps them up. But it's not AKA like a cheerleader, and that's no disrespect to cheerleaders, but you're not just like cheering them on from the sidelines. You're in there getting belief that they can get them done. Then the last one is the soother. So the soother is the person who's the calm. You're the stabilizer. You're offsetting that hammer, that driver. You're telling people, no, look, like you can do this. And you're just coming from a different way. You're being more empathetic. You're understanding their struggles, their frustrations, what the obstacles are. And you're just balancing them out in a calmer manner. So again, we have the hammer, we have the motivator, and we have the soother. And those are the three styles. And then I thought about it is people are like, well, what style are you? Well, how do you know what style you are? And I think the question you need to ask yourself is, again, when everything goes wrong, when pressure hits the fan, what style do you tend to go back to, right? What style? Now, there are assessments that can help you figure this out. If you've never done any sort of assessments, there's assessments that will help you figure it out. But what's your natural tendency? Are you the hammer? Are you the motivator? Or are you the soother? For me, I tend to be the hammer, the driver, the demander. I'm the guy. When pressure hits, I want to solve the problem and get it done. That's my natural style. But what I learned in leadership over the years and building that cohesive culture was that I had to be able to interchange the hats, right? Interchange the hats. So, think about parenting styles, right? There's times you got to be very authoritative, very frank with your kids, very stern disciplinarian. There's times that you're encouraging them to take chances, try out for a team, etc. And there's times that you got to show love and empathy, correct? So why wouldn't you do that in your leadership style at work? Because you probably do it with your families. So the real trick about being a leader that can create a cohesive culture is you being able to adapt and intertwine between those three. And yes, you're going to have a dominant leadership style. You're going to have that. But understanding that at times you've got to exhibit the other two leadership styles. Now, if we say you're going to put the time and effort to learn these different styles and figure out when to incorporate them, does that solve your problem? Does that create a cohesive culture? Does that create a cohesive team? Maybe, maybe. But what I'm going to tell you is, what about the people around you, right? Who are your soldiers? Who are your lieutenants? Who are around you, per se, that are supporting you? Do they echo you, or do they challenge you when you're wrong? Do they come in with a different level of impact? Because what I'm going to tell you about leadership is you can't have two hammers at the top, just continually driving, demanding, just hammering down on people. You can't do that. You won't get the results you desire. So what I would encourage you to do is not only look at yourself, and if you want resources, just message me and I'll give you some resources for some assessments you can take. But also look at who's around you and what are they? Which natural leadership style do they have? Are they the hammer? Are they the motivator? Or are they the soother? And ideally, in your leadership circle, you've got people that have each one of those are dominant traits. And you guys are able to balance out the leadership structure, which then there's a time and a place where they're going to be used, correct? They're going to be used because people sometimes freak out a little bit about that authoritative leader, that hammer, that, oh, they're, they just don't care. They're too demanding. They're hard to work for. But on the flip side of that is they're the ones that can make the decisions, and they're willing to make the decisions, right or wrong, when you need someone to make a decision, because not everything can go to a committee. Not every time can we have a motivational session to get everybody's morale up to be able to make a decision. That's where the hammer and the motivator change. And then the soother, you know what? They have to understand sometimes decisions have to be made and pressure has to be put on, but it can't be all the time, correct? It can't be all the time. So what I want you to do as a leader is reflect, figure out which is your natural trait. And the way you do that is replay scenarios in your head as a leader when things went wrong. Again, when pressure was tight, when things went wrong, when there was a deadline to hit, when the intensity was up. That's your natural leadership style. That is your natural leadership style, right? And then say, okay, what do I need to do differently? What do I need to work on? What do I need to read? What conferences do I need to attend? What trainings, what certifications, so that you develop those other two, correct? And then also look at your circle, look at that leadership circle and be honest. Be honest, and then decide what changes you need to make, what adjustments. If you do that, if the leadership is cohesive and it's balanced, then now you guys can create a team that's cohesive and operates properly, functionally. They operate like that pit crew, right? They don't need to talk. They just get the job done. But they know how to get it done because leadership leads from the front. So leaders, if you like this information, subscribe. New video every Tuesday, all about team cohesion and leadership. See you on the next video.